Video tour garden 2025. August 18th. Garden dog. Strawberries, the asparagus ferns. Corn is getting close. These are all peppers. Let's see. Oh yeah. There's a ton of stuff that needs to be harvested because I just got off work after 4 or 5 days and we had a big rain. I love when the arches start to fill out. More corn coming up behind. That's sweet corn. The taller corn there is pink popcorn. We'll see if that works. Weather is cooling a little bit and the strawberries are starting again. We are gonna give these to the chickens. Look at all those cherry tomatoes. Holy wow. Green beans looking really good. I planted them late, but they'll be ready soon. And look at the size of that sunflower. That's crazy. Pretty zinnias. Those are Brussels sprouts and canning tomatoes. And the canning tomatoes aren't quite right because they're big this year. I thought I grew the smaller ones. That looks dead because you can't harvest potatoes until your greens die back. Those are from potatoes that we grew last year and ate throughout the winter, and then I replanted for seed in the spring, and now we should get another good harvest. That's the arch on the way to the chicken run with all the crazy squash. I'll take you in there too. A little bit of broccoli, not too happy, it's too warm for it. But those are the more canning tomatoes, more Brussels sprouts, cucumbers going a little nuts. I picked them last night, but I think there's still a bunch to be picked, and we'll make pickles. Thankfully, the chickens like anything. Oh, there's more corn. That's blue flower corn that I'm trying to see. It would make, I think, good chicken feed. And you can also use it to grind flour and make tortillas and stuff. So we'll see if that works out. Watch the chickens go crazy for strawberries. So many chickens. Ah, chickies. They're very spoiled. They kind of love strawberries and cherry tomatoes are their... They're so cute. So this bed is about to be planted, but look, more of the giant sunflowers. I didn't plant any of these giant sunflowers. They grew from seed left over from last year, but interestingly, the ones I planted last year were a single giant head, and this is what came up from their seed. So they must have been pollinated, and now we have a brand new strain of sunflowers. These are a really weird cherry tomato. They're purple until they get really nice and ripe, and then they turn this like orangish purple. It's very odd. There's some big honking tomatoes. That guy's crawling up the trellis. More cherries. Whole bunch of... I'm doing this video in big part because I have been at work all week and not harvested anything, and it's the season for things just going nuts. That's the next round along the trellis of cucumbers, because those other plants will peter out here soon. And oh, we're starting to get green beans. Good, good. These I planted just a little bit earlier. And these are called Christmas potatoes, but they look like they're going to be done before Christmas. They grow. I planted them really late, and then you don't have to harvest until late in the fall. You can just let the foliage die back, and they'll store in the ground, and then I can harvest them for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners. These are tomatillas. Those are the chicken dinosaurs yelling. Let's see. Ooh, these are Brussels sprouts getting close to done. The red ones are sweeter and do better here, but we'll see how these plants do. And then this is my pride and joy of this season. Look at all those sweet peppers. So I planted a whole bed of sweet peppers, and they've of course taken all year because we are, you know, not so hot out here, but they are finally starting to come in. I've got some yellows and reds back there, so we are gonna have a good amount of sweet peppers. I picked one yellow sweet pepper a couple weeks ago with Carol out here, and we tasted it, and I've never grown a sweet pepper. I didn't know how much more incredible growing your own from grocery store sweet peppers was gonna be. It was amazing. These are my hot peppers. These are peppers that you can make mole and different dishes with. So we'll dry these and with the jalapenos and stuff, and then have pepper mixes and pepper spice, paprika, cayenne pepper, what else? Yeah, just a bunch of different peppers for chilies. We kind of really love not crazy spicy, but semi-spicy Mexican food is, or Latino food is some of our favorite. And all the flowers doing pretty well. Under there are carrots that I planted way too late, so I had to put shade cloth on them. But I think they're gonna do okay. Oh yeah. They're happy under the shade cloth. So that's great because we'll get carrots through the entire winter. I don't take those out of the ground, and then I just pull from them up until, I think I pulled from last year's carrots until like April of this year when they started to go to flower. But they were tasty, and as soon as it gets cold after the first frost, these carrots, oh my gosh, they taste like 10 times sweeter than your normal carrot because they like the frost. And then this is the fall crop of raspberries starting. We got a lot. Oh, there's some that are ripe over there, huh? Wow, I wasn't expecting that so soon. So we've got about 20 feet of these crazy raspberries that are trying to come into the garden, but I kind of like it because it's just like one big snack while I'm in the garden, and then I go out on the outside of the garden to pick the rest of them when I'm trying to pick in bulk. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video and then restart it on the other section of the garden. Okay, coming around back to the front of the main garden. These are all asparagus fronds, and there's a bunch of asparagus and strawberries like to grow together. So there's a bunch of strawberries in there. They keep the ground nice and cool for the asparagus. So we should get a good harvest of asparagus for the first time next year. And pretty flowers in the tower. Let's see. This is on the way to the quote-unquote chicken yard. Love the burst of flowers. These are roses that'll cover that trellis. They were just tiny little babies, but I really wanted to do roses on all the doorway arches, or at least like climbers. This is just crazy. We had rain, which, you know, doesn't happen for us much in the summer. And this corn is the size of 2.5 Sams. And I just, I had no idea it was going to get to be like 15 feet tall. It's just crazy. And it's starting to tassel, so that's where its pollen comes from. And then it's just starting to get ears of corn. Like, this will be an ear of corn pretty quickly here. But look at that. There's, so the goal was to grow enough sweet corn that we could can and freeze it for the winter. And I think if this works out, that we'll be able to do that. I also use the corn stalks. I've never had this many, but you can grind them up, and I can use them instead of hay and stuff to cover the soil in the summer as a mulch. And then that stuff that looks like grass is called sorghum. I've never grown that before. It's a crop. People can eat it. It's a grain. So we'll see if we like it. It's pretty easy to grow, doesn't mind drought, and it's really high protein animal feed. So that was kind of the goal with this back area, but I got crazy with sweet corn. That's not really an animal feed crop. But I wanted to turn this whole area into growing food for the chickens to see if I could get close to offsetting a good portion of their feed costs. And then all of this is pumpkins and large squash. You can see, oh, there's our honeybees. Lots of different bees, loving the flowers. If you plant a lot of flowers, then the bees come in for that, but they stay for the squash blossoms and corn pollen. And so you can really draw them in. And then this crazy arch, I'm just so pleased. I tried last year and nothing really climbed up, and I don't know, I just am weird and wanted to see stuff climbing and growing, and I'm quite pleased with the result. There's bunch of different cucumbers. I grow Japanese and Armenian cucumbers because they don't mind the heat. They're not for pickling, but for fresh eating, and they don't get bitter like some do in the heat. So, but some of these, like this is a type of melon that you can save for winter use, and I guess in Asia they use it for stir fries, and then red curry squash and more cucumbers over here. And some of these, oh my goodness, they just crack me up. Look at that. And I mean, they're big. So that's probably 4 feet, 3-4 feet. And then I planted a bunch of melons. Of course, I didn't label anything, so I don't know who's what. I just figured I'd stick it in the ground. So I know it's all stuff that I chose. I just don't know who is what, because a lot of this I've never grown. There's acorn squash, which is the acorn squash and curry squash we actually really like, and we make them into savory dishes. But then things like the buttercup squash are really sweet, and I don't care for that as much. But the birds, these squash will dry and then last until next summer, just in cold storage. I don't have to process them or anything. And then the chickens will get a fresh squash every couple days, and it's healthy for them. Actually, pumpkin seeds and squash seeds help keep parasites away. That is called a sugar bowl gourd. So they dry, and then you can carve them, and people in Peru turn that particular squash into a sugar bowl. There's another one up there. So I'm growing a bunch of squash that I can, or gourds that I can dry and do different things with. So these are bottleneck gourds. And so people actually used to use these for water flasks. You can dry them and then coat the inside with beeswax, and then they're waterproof and they last for a couple years as a natural water bottle. I don't know if I'll do that. I just am kind of entranced. And then birdhouse gourds, I've grown a couple of these, but this is, I haven't grown this many of these. And so they have to stay on the vine all winter, and their husk falls off and they dry hard as rocks. And then next summer I can, or next spring, I can pull them off the vine after being outside all winter and doing their drying thing. I tried picking them last fall and bringing them inside or in a cool area to dry, and they all rotted. So the ones that I left on the vine did great, and they say that's really, if you can do it, that's the way to do it. So all of these different ones, the idea is to carve them just real simply with a little hole for birdhouses. And I think they're really pretty. So there's actually a bunch of different shapes and sizes. And then this thing, that's what I sent you a picture of, with the guy standing and holding him, and probably that one is as tall as me. But that just flipping kills me. I just can't even. So that kind of cracks me up. I like it. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with it, but I like it. I just kind of really like to see things grow, and then we'll see if I do anything with it or not. There's one that's twisted all the way around and down. Oh, that very pretty plant back there is a volunteer amaranth. It's called an elephant head amaranth, because you can see the top part kind of will end up drooping down a little bit and look like an elephant trunk. And oh, there's a little hummingbird. Hi, little guy. Oh, you're pretty. But that's really good grain, and we can eat it. The Indians, the Hopi Indians, used to use it for a red dye. It's like a reddish purplish dye that's pretty strong. So I plant these. I didn't plant any this year. This is just a volunteer, but if you save the seed, you can make a dye out of it, and then you can actually dye the dried gourds. So I would like to try to do that with dye plants used for dye that I grow. And I think they just do really pretty colors. And you can dye Easter eggs and clothing and whatever. The hummingbirds, oh, he just flew away. Love those red bean flowers are edible and really tasty. And the hummingbirds just love the red color. So we have a ton of hummingbirds, and they like to fight each other I think there's more than enough to go around, but they still fight each other. So there is, I just can tell I haven't been here in 5 days. So I just love getting back in touch with the garden after I work at that crazy hospital place for a long time. I miss this. Those are little volunteer tomatoes. I didn't plant any tomatoes, but I did last year. And then if they were sprouting up this spring in places that made any sense, I just left them. And the chickens will get the run of this place again in the late fall, as I cover this trellising system is about 40 feet long, and I cover it with a clear tarp so they get the sunshine but not all the rain. And then they have a nice area that's warm and rain-free that they can run around. They still have the whole back and everything. If it's not raining, they go out there, but they like to have a little bit of dry. And then they will go through this whole place, and anything I don't clear out of here, they will scratch and eat and clean up all the bugs and pests. And yeah, they're pretty good workers. All right, I think that's the end. I think my sunflowers need some water. That's more sunflowers planted for animal feed back there. Hi, chickies. Hi. How is everybody? She is losing her feathers. It's molting season. So they drop their feathers. They look like homeless birds. They look awful for about a month before they start growing feathers back. So I give them extra protein while they're doing that, and they don't lay as many eggs. Hi, guys. That rooster is named not Bruce. We called his dad, meant to call him, but they looked so much alike, we got it wrong. I feel really bad. Bruce was a very nice rooster. He is not as nice to the girls. Oh, there's some broccoli hiding back there. Can you see that? I will pick that for dinner tonight. This is the time of year when I say the garden is wilding, because it just gets so lush and so overgrown and crazy, and it does its own thing, and it doesn't care what I want, and I am completely there for it. I love that it does that. These are grapevines that I planted. They'll do great next year. This is their first year, but the goal is to have them grow up and over, and then I'll plant these squash vines further down after the grapes really take over. But I wanted the chickens to have some grapevines, and I'll probably just let the grapes from here, whatever we don't eat, just because I've got a bunch of grapes out in the orchard. But these can just fall in the fall, and the chickens are gonna just love that. But that's through their screen door. Stephen put a screen door on because, we didn't want bugs getting through. It just was, he didn't feel like building yet another door, so he bought one and built around it. And let's see what these chickens are doing. Hi, ladies. Oh, you left us some eggs. Mama, are you gonna hatch those babies? This chicken, I swear she's broody, and she's sitting on these eggs because she wants babies. But chicken eggs only take 30 days, and she's been sitting for like 60. And I tried to talk her into getting off, but she's not having it, so I'm kind of leaving her to do her thing. But I am getting close to feeling like it's just very sad. So we'll see. And then the other girls, who want to lay an egg have to lay in one of the other boxes. She is trying to lay an egg. I'll leave her alone. Hi guys, I know you want foods. We put an extra window in the chicken coop this year because it was stuffy in here. We have a little solar powered fan, and then we would leave the door open, but it still wasn't enough. So we put in a solar powered chicken door so we don't have to let them in and out in the morning. And then Stephen cut that out of the chicken coop, and it just kind of got it on a thing, and that just stays open in the summer. It's got animal proof, predator proof hardware cloth so that no animals can get in. So the girl, why are you yelling? You have food? They follow me around because I'm the giver of strawberries and cherry tomatoes. Okay, I love you guys. Bye.